Hello everyone, this is Miranda Poe. I'm presenting to you how does discipline work with students in special education. I'm a special education teacher for 8th grade in Owensville Middle School. Okay. Once upon a time we had IDEA, a federal law requiring schools to provide students with IEPs and LREs, which means LRE is like the least restrictive environment and an IEP is an individual education plan. Over here I show the picture of a school, and then you see the parents and the students in the middle and then the government on the side. I'll try to represent them all like that throughout this entire story. So the government is that green section over here, and then the parents say, we need more for our students. And then the little student says, like an IEP and least restrictive environment. The government says, I do declare we provide this in a legal manner. So then he gets out the legal document to make sure that we provide this to our students. So he provides the law of IDEA. This helped students in ways that you can't even fathom, but it was missing something. As with every great decision in our world, we needed to revise it to make it stronger and more clear. So along came IDEA in 1997. This allowed all students with handicaps to be fully protected and gave a wider scope for that protection. So then you see the image down here with schools. It says, let's make sure we widen the scope. And then it says, the student says, I now have the same chances as everyone else to learn and to succeed. The government says, let's change this date to 2004. Later on, we'll see the 2004 updated version. Let's add discipline in this one. And so then over here you see the parent, or the little other child, and he says, does that mean that students get to have discipline the same way too, that have IEPs? And then the parent says, we aren't too sure about that. Then one fine day, IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act, was born. This revamp included all from before plus certain terms. Congress steps in and encourages parents and schools to cooperate on the discipline of students in special education. If you see the school setting, it says, of course, whatever is best for all kids. And then in the middle it says, agreed with the parents and the kid. And then over in Congress, it says, work together with formal meetings and hearings. But once again, I'm a little lost. Why did we need to know this? And then in that section over here, this is the parents. It says it protects our rights with IEPs. The school says it protects school safety for our students, staff, and parents. And then the far side says the feds. They say it also provides appropriate laws governing behavior interventions and not neglecting FAPE, which is your free and appropriate education. This story continues by talking about how this law of disciplining students under IDEA is supposed to play out. So we're going to give you a scenario in the story now. One fine day, Junior gets involved in a fight outside on the playground. Junior has an IEP and the two other students in the fight did not. The teacher comes out and takes each student in one by one to discipline them. So you see the little comic version down here. The government says, Junior already has had 10 days of suspension. We need to do a manifestation determination and hold an IEP meeting, or MD, which is a manifestation determination hearing. Over here, the school, before the government basically stepped in and said that, the principal said, you all need to be suspended for 2 days. And then the mom says, my son has an IEP, you can't not provide him services. And then the principal said, well, that's to be determined, let's figure that out. Which really, in reality, is not to be determined. You have to provide a kid with special education services, especially after 10 days. It was determined that 2 of the boys got their 2 days of OSS. Junior, however, has already had 10 OSS disciplines this year. And manifestation determination meeting is held to determine if it is related to his disability or not. The school says, well, this is, oh wait, actually over here is where it starts first, sorry. The meeting takes place, and you see the principal saying the kids did taunt him, and caused him to be defiant and flip moods. The mom says, well, my son has ODD, ADHD, and bipolar disorder, let alone being in a wheelchair. The government says you need to review all the IEP documents that on this student and make sure it is related to this kid uniquely, because every case that goes to manifestation determination is solely upon that kid. Just because one kid has ED, his case will not be the same as another kid with ED. It's just the way it works. And then the special education teacher towards the bottom says he needs to go to a behavior and inclusion room. He's in the CWC setting right now, out there in regular education, but he needs an exit time throughout the day to make sure that he can work on his behavior strategies. And then over here in the school building, it talks about the principals get together over in here and they say, will this affect his change of placement? And the special education teacher says, yes, I believe so. And then this will change his LRE as well, because obviously this is the least restricted environment for him because he needs that to benefit. Over here, when they were at the meeting, there's two things you want to determine at the meeting, this one or this one. Number one, was conduct caused by a direct relationship to the child's disability? And then two, was conduct a direct result to the LEA's failure to implement the IEP? Well, they had an IEP in place, but they didn't have the behavior intervention plan to back that up. So it was caused by the direct relationship to the child's disability. He was being taunted. He had bipolar disorder, so he flipped on it, and he also had ODD, so when they asked him to stop, he could not stop. He kind of just, defiant, decided to not stop. It was then determined from the IEP team at the manifestation determination hearing that Junior acted the way he did due to his diagnosis of bipolar and ODD. The team then decided to perform the FBA, which is the Functional Behavior Assessment, with a BIP, which is a behavior intervention plan that they created based off the assessment that they gave. And you see they're sitting down together creating that behavior intervention plan, because you have to have a meeting, just like an IEP meeting, to do that. And in the meeting it says, sorry, I will work on my behavior strategy, says the kid. And then the mom says, thank you. And then the special education teacher says, sounds good. And then over here, the principal says, either way, FAPE would have made sure to provide your son with the proper education that he needs, possibly in the form of, and then over here, the federal law says, but we would still have OSS like any other student if he didn't be qualified because of his disability. They still would have given him OSS or suspension just like all the other students, but they would have had to provide him homebound services, so he would have got the education that the principal was talking about there. Because again, FAPE steps in with federal law stating that free appropriate public education has to happen. And for that student to have free public education, he needs to be provided his special education services so that he can be like everyone else. Okay, the next one. And then Junior got the services he needed to improve on his behavior through his behavior intervention plan. Thankfully, he hasn't fought since that day. To think he could have inflicted bodily harm, which is a special circumstance that would have gotten him expelled or reported to the authorities regardless of his IEP. Whew, boy, he got lucky. And then at the very bottom, thank gosh for IDEA helping me succeed, says Junior. And the end of the story. And then we have our question guy back again, and he says, oh yeah, this makes total sense to me now, thanks. And then he has another question real quick. Oh wait, one quick question. Can parents challenge the manifestation determination if they don't get their way? This situation, she did get her way, but if they didn't, parents always have the right to an expedited hearing within 20 school days, and then tend to make a decision. And this concludes how you would determine the discipline for a student in special education. Thank you.